that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! We're back again today for another game review, a special Kickstarter review, kind of. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Japanese the Game from Bernhard Hammacher. I'm actually going to be taking a look at this game and also one of the expansions. This is for 1 to 6 players, ages 12 and up. It'll take you about 10 minutes to play. It's going to take you a lot longer when you first start, though, I will say. But in this game attempts to try and teach you Japanese in the form of a game. What? Wowza! That's a daunting task. But this was actually already on Kickstarter, successfully funded, just absolutely blew up. They're running a second Kickstarter right now, hopefully I can get it up before the end of the Kickstarter, to fund more expansions. So obviously it was popular enough to get more expansions. So we're going to take a look at it. We're going to see if it's good for learning Japanese, and if it's a good game. Alrighty then, let's open it up and see how it works. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Japanese the Game. Now I'm going to be looking at Japanese the Game, the original game that was on Kickstarter and it just exploded and had a great big success. And I'm also going to be taking a look at one of the expansions. This is the travel expansion that I'll be taking a look at. Now, they're also running a Kickstarter right now that are going to have 6 additional expansions, which you can see down here. Conjugation, business, Japanese food, travel, so yeah, they're going to be doing more expansions. Those might be the old ones, those might be the new ones. I kind of just forgot. But there's going to be tons of expansions. Some, obviously, a little bit more important than the other ones. Like, I don't really think you need to know the Kaiju expansion. I don't know if you're going to Japan why you're going to need that. But anywho, getting ahead of myself. So the first thing I want to mention, that this is going to be a very disjointed review. Because in most reviews, I kind of want to leave you with a feeling of how to play the game. And this game is a very, very simple game. However, learning how to play the game is incredibly difficult because this game is tasked with the daunting job of trying to teach you how you can speak Japanese. Granted, it might be broken Japanese, but Japanese that if you went to Japan, you could probably passively communicate with other human beings, which is always good. So first and foremost, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Japanese the Game, the base game. So first, you're going to get your handy-dandy rule sheet, which we'll get in that one later. And as you can see, it is 2 pages, double-sided, full color, and wow, it is a little bit daunting when you first go over it. I will say, QR code helps quite a bit, highly recommended. And as you can see, it's just a big wall of text. But this is all going to be teaching you how to play the game, but more importantly, it's going to be teaching you how to build sentences in Japanese structure, because Japanese structured sentences are different than English structured sentences. I almost said American. English structured sentence, because a lot of times words aren't there, like they're just assumed or implied words, I believe that's what they're called. But on the back, it's going to show you how you can build longer sentences, because you're going to be trying to build various different sentences, and some of them are going to be longer and some are going to be shorter. But in the game, there's going to be 3 different game modes as well. You can play the solo play, which is down here, the collaborative play, and the competitive play. And I'll get more into my thoughts on the different play modes once we get to the back end part of the video, because there's still a lot to talk about going on here. This sheet, I'm not even going to begin to try and cover, but this is going to be very, very important if you actually want to take the step from just playing this game to trying to speak Japanese. Like, legitimately trying to string together sentences and concepts and that sort of stuff. And this is going to go over predicates and adjectives and the verbs and how you do long sentences and how to use the ichidan verbs and the regular verbs and all the different stuff that you're going to be seeing in this game. Needless to say, this is somewhat daunting when you first open it up, and I will fully admit that when I got this, I was just like, wow. But take a breath. I will say solo play is your best friend in this game because it will teach you how to get up and on the ground and running. But let's see if I can do that myself. So in this game, in addition to the rule sheets, you're going to get cards, and more cards. And these cards are incredibly busy, as you can see. There is a lot going on, but it is actually necessary for these cards to be busy. So let's go over what everything is on this card. So first up here, the point value, because this is a game after all. This point, if you have it down, will be worth 1 point. Up here, you're going to be what kind of thing it is. It is a copula. This is what it says, probably, and right over here, it's how you're going to pronounce it. It is deshu. If you don't think you did that right, well, luckily, you got this little scanner down here. You can scan that, and they will say the word for you, so you can make sure that you said it correctly. A very nice little feature. And as you can see, it has a brief description right here of what the word is, how you write this word if Japanese, if you want to get that crazy, and then a sample sentence. Yeah, I think he's a policeman.
kai kai the shoe. I should really learn that in case I deal with undercover cops. They'll never know what I'm talking about. All right, let's get off topic. Let's get back on topic. That's what I meant to say. But you're going to have a ton of these different cards that will have nouns and Godin verbs and kind of crazy, funny artwork on the back. Some of them have unique artwork. Some of them have prettier artwork. It really depends. There's also going to be some special cards which are going to help you bring things together. Particle, if you know anything about English, then you obviously know what a particle is. This is a destination marker right here, so that's going to be telling you that you're talking about a destination. And as you can see, you're going to get a bunch of these cards. Now, each player is generally going to need 25 cards per player, and you can either share one deck or each use a personal deck. Now, the base game is going to allow you to play a 2-player game. If you get an expansion, that will allow you to play a 3-player game. So, when you start the game, you're going to shuffle up the cards, and on your turn, you're going to draw one card. If you have less than 6 cards, what you're going to do is you're going to draw up to 6 cards. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, you're going to take a look at your cards, and you are going to build a sentence using what you have here. So in order to build a sentence, you either need a verb, which we have a couple verbs, you need an adjective, or you need a noun and a copula. So let's see. We'll do this one. Here we go. It's a good one. We'll do probably is friend. So we have probably is friend. We'll play that down in front of us, and that would gain us 2 points if we were playing in the solo game. Now, you can also add on to this on your next turn, because on your turn, you're going to be able to play cards out of your hand to either build sentences, to build onto your sentences, and try and gain points. Now, if you're playing in the solo version, you're just trying to get 20 points, and you're just trying to learn how to speak Japanese. It's definitely the mode that I would recommend when you first start. If you're playing the competitive mode, this is the real gameplay here, is where that if you were to, say, lay down a 5-point sentence, then you would be able to retire up to 4 points worth of your opponent's points. So you might be able to say, oh, I'm going to take away this friend card. As long as the sentence still makes sense on their side, you can do that. Whew. So, that's what you're going to be doing, and you're going to be doing that either solo, collaborative, or competitive. You're going to competitive, you're going to be trying to get, I believe, up to 20 points solo play, and I think everything is going up to 20 points. Now, that's how the game is played. Gameplay-wise, this game is more about education, less about gameplay. So let's go next over to Japanese the game, and I have the travel expansion. Now, if you take the delve into trying to learn Japanese with this game, I highly recommend getting this particular expansion. It has a lot of very important words in it that you're going to need, such as do, restroom. That's a big one when you're traveling. I know that. Question marker, where, buy. These are all really important ones that are all going to focus on traveling. So get on, you know. So these ones are really good if you plan on visiting Japan and you're going to be a tourist. But as I mentioned, there's, I believe, 12 different expansions after the Kickstarter's done. Down here we got 6, and I believe there's 6 more. I don't think I have them in front of me, but there's going to be tons of different expansions. And that, in a very crazy, loose, wacky nutshell, is Japanese the game.
Okey dokey, Japanese the game from Bernhard Hamaker, currently on a Kickstarter near you, kind of, down in the link below. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. I do want to start before we do that and say this is a really difficult game to review for a couple different reasons. First, you have to try and learn Japanese when you play the game. That's obviously no small task. Also, the game focuses on education, as it should, and not so much on gameplay. So let's get to the cons, and that's the first big con here. This is not like, say, viticulture, where if you have no interest in making wine, you can still have a lot of fun playing that game. However, if you have no interest in learning how to speak Japanese, this game is not going to be for you. This is an incredibly niche game, and obviously it is an incredibly niche game because it's trying to teach you how to learn Japanese. And the gameplay in this game is, it's pretty much, it's there, but it's not really. It's just you making Japanese sentences, which I don't particularly consider to be a fun game. Also on the con side, the cards are incredibly busy, but I like how busy they are. Some people are going to be turned off by how busy they are and say, why do I need to learn know how to write this or know the example sentences or anything like that. But I personally think it's a necessary evil in this game. Another con that I would have is that the base game is only going to get you 1 or 2 players. You're going to have to get expansions to get more players. Moving on to the pros, though, and this is the important thing here. The game itself is not a fun game. I hate to say that because I'm not against this game, but just based on gameplay merits alone, this is not a fun game that you're going to be like, oh man, this is a blast. No, this is a good educational game. And when I got done playing this game 3, 4, 5, 6 times, yes, I thought that if I played this game for a month, and I played 2 or 3 solo games a day, and I know that sounds really daunting, but it's not, then yes, I think I could successfully go carry on a somewhat broken conversation with a Japanese person, and they would understand what I was trying to do and hold my hand. Now, when I say you have to play this solo 2 to 3 times a day, because I think that is the best way to learn it, especially when you're first starting, because you're just trying to memorize all the different words and how all the different sentence structures go and how, you don't need all the different words because some of them are implied and some of them are all sorts of different stuff that's different in Japanese than it is in English. So that's a home run right there. If you are looking, and I'll put it right here, if you are looking for a game that will help you learn Japanese, and you're willing to put in the time investment to play it over and over and over again so that you can learn it, this one absolutely does fit the bill. And I talked about the travel expansion. Highly recommend it. If you plan on visiting Japan, I think this is a crucial, necessary expansion. As for gameplay, I can't recommend this as a great game, but if you have a child or if you yourself are attempting to learn Japanese, have a Japanese class, this is absolutely a fantastic purchase. If you yourself are planning a trip to Japan and you want to try and learn Japanese, this one will help you. Because yeah, you can go to Japan and you can be that typical American tourist who doesn't know any Japanese, or you can be the guy who got Japanese the game, learned just enough Japanese that the Japanese people will be like, hey, I like that guy. He put forth the effort to try or learn our language. Then, yes, you should check out Japanese the game. I know this is a very odd review, but if this sounds like it might be your cup of tea, and if you've gotten this far, you know if this is going to be your cup of tea or not, be sure to click on the Kickstarter link below and tell them Bowers Game Corner sent you. Also, in the comments below, let me know, can you think of any other games that are like this that you recommend it, despite the fact the gameplay takes a backseat to the educational content of the game? Because being a teacher myself, I'm always looking for more games like that. And as always, if you enjoyed this content, be sure to click on the subscribe button down below. As always, thanks for your time, YouTube.
That was the review for Japanese the Game and Japanese the Game Travel Expansion. For more reviews and previews, check back at Bowers Game Corner.